good quote I've heard recently, I'll try not to butcher it too much, but it was Leo Tolstoy. People try to do all sorts of clever and difficult things to improve life instead of doing the simplest, easiest thing, refusing to participate in activities that make life bad. So the same concept can be applied to business. We are A/B split testing the 17th different hue of teal in our company's logo that's going to be shown at particular events on particular times of the year in particular parts of the country. But what if we just avoided all the things that made the business bad? What if we just avoided all the things that took away from the value of the business? Inherently, it would have to increase the value of the business, wouldn't it? I'm Arthur Petropoulos, Managing Partner, President here at Hillview Partners. We're a middle market, lower middle market investment banking M&A advisory firm, helping companies generating $1 million to $10 million a year in EBITDA, pre-tax profit, to sell their businesses and to secure capital. So I don't know if it was the Hippocratic Oath or something to that effect, but do no harm. Right? Before you try to do all of the exceptional, exciting things in business, avoid the things that are bad. Avoid the things that harm your business. And so in this video, we want to walk through 5 things that you may or may not be doing that may be impacting negatively the value of your business. And not all of these things are binaries where, oh, you tick this box and so bad, or you don't tick this box and so you're perfect. In many ways, they can be issues to a degree, or things that are being resolved, or things that can be worked towards. And so sometimes when you say, let's highlight the pitfalls, that allows you to kind of get to where you want to get to because you will slowly work to mitigate those issues. Item number 1 that may be ruining the value of your business is you do too much. That's not to say you should work less hard, work less smart, whatever the mantra is. However, if you are carrying too much water on any particular task within the business, then someone is going to say, how much of a business is this versus this one person's craft? Remember, there's woodworking shops and then there's artistic carpenters. Now, one can be very valuable, however, it's not necessarily a business. So in the characterization of a business and wanting to maximize the value of that business, think, how much am I doing of any one particular thing? Can I actually be replaced in the future? And that doesn't mean by necessarily one person, but are these skills allocatable, delegatable in such a way that there's not a key man or woman risk for the business? Issue number 2 is that nothing is written down. If the brain trust of a business sits in the mind of a few different people, again, there's no processes, there's no standard operating procedures. When you ultimately sell a business, find capital for a business even, you need to define the different activities within a company, how it all fits together, and again, if you were to get amnesia one day, how it continues to happen on a going forward basis. And this leads us to number 3, there's too much randomness. And so even if you have the processes within a business defined, and so you say, okay, this is how sales happens, okay, this is how fulfillment or the provision of the service product offering takes place, and okay, this is how operations take place. Is it systematic? Is it lockstep? Is it a conveyor belt? Or is it sporadic? You could say, hey, we know how sales works. We get a phone call once in a while. So a stork drops a baby on our doorstep. Whatever the case may be, the idea is it needs to be something where there are definable inputs, where there's things that can be done to modulate the ultimate pull-through or outputs of a particular part of a business. And so oftentimes you're going to see process be the focus on the sales side because nobody likes randomness of sales. The phone might ring, the phone may not ring. That's okay if you're just Joe the plumber waiting for the phone call to pay your own bills, but if you have a business that you want true enterprise value around, there needs to be a systematic way of saying, we put out this many emails, we send out this many postcards, we make this many phone calls, et cetera, et cetera. And the same thing can be said in every part of a business. Are the processes defined, and is there randomness? Look through all of the processes with your business, and if there's any part of it where you say, well, we just kind of hope and wish that this happens, that's randomness. Hope is not a strategy. Understand the inputs, and over a large enough volume of data of inputs, you should have fairly definable metrics of outputs. Again, it's not going to be a perfect science, but if you said we make 10,000 phone calls a month, we send out 20,000 emails a month, usually it gets us this many calls, which leads to this many meetings, which leads to this many sales proposals. That's a good way of thinking of it. It eliminates randomness. And number 4, you don't understand your numbers. And everybody says, okay, we sell a widget for $5 and it costs us $3 to make, so there's $2 of profit. But what is the core operating expense beneath that? How many widgets does the company need to sell throughout the year before it hits profitability? Again, assuming you have a fixed operating base. In a company where you have more variable expenses, can you define the net profit after everything, before taxes, of one service offering or product that you sell? That's where you need to know the numbers. And so in some businesses, they're going to say, okay, it's $2 million of fixed operating expenses. We bring in $10 million of revenue. It costs us $3 million to provide the service on kind of a COGS or cost of goods sold basis. And then you subtract the $2 million of the baseline operating expenses, you have $5 million left of profit. That's an understanding of the numbers. Understanding it on a widget by widget, on a unit basis. Understanding if you have more of a fixed cost perspective. Understanding if you have more of a fixed cost type of business or variable cost type of business, but understanding who you are, what you are, and how the numbers actually work. It's one thing to say, we buy books for $1 and sell them for $3. That sounds good, but you need to understand beyond just kind of the trade, if you will, and how it pulls in through the totality of the business. The more clearly that can be defined, the more regularly it can be improved, the more clearly it can be communicated when, again, either you're selling, finding capital, or just trying to grow the business, make it more valuable, and deliver more profit to yourself and the stakeholders of the company. And number 5, that kind of ties all of these things together, is there's no roadmap. And so you can have these things in place. You can say, okay, we understand the processes, we understand the numbers, I know that my role can be delegated in these ways. However, I don't really know where this business is going. Right? And it's kind of like the languishing relationship. It just fizzles over time if there's no progression, if there's no escalation, if there's no movement forward. And so within a business, it's the same way. It ages like wine or it ages like milk. And if nothing's done, it will at some point just return to kind of its essence of randomness. I think it was from a Jeff Bezos shareholder letter that he said, it takes energy not to return to randomness. It takes energy to continue moving forward and to be a thing with some level of physical force. And so, as you can tell, I didn't do too well in my college physics class. But that being said, a business should have goals, milestones towards those goals, and have a set of goals. And so what are we trying to accomplish this year? What are we trying to accomplish within 5 years? What are we trying to accomplish within 10 years? What would we accomplish within 100 years? Again, it's some theoretical to a degree, but if you have these goals lined up, and then you have milestones towards each goal, you always have kind of earmarkers or ways of telling, are you progressing? Are you progressing at the pace that you'd like to? And it tends to be that when goals are set, it A, makes you more likely to accomplish them because there are targets, and then B, I think for anyone else looking at your business, whether it's people looking to put capital into it, whether it's employees looking to join it, whether it's clients to a degree looking to be part of your business journey as well and getting the services for them, everybody likes to know that they're dealing with someone who's on a mission, someone that has targets, someone that has ambitions. If it just looks like a floundering thing, then okay, it's going to be difficult to get capital and sell the business. And you say, oh, well, I don't really want to do those things, so who cares? Well, how are you going to get the best employees if they say, what's the goal for the business? Where is this in 5 years? You're asking them where they see themselves in 5 years. If you don't have a good answer for the business, it's going to be hard to find the real A players. And then secondly, customers like buying from people that they feel aligned with the ethos of the business. A mentor once told me, never eliminate your identity as the underdog, right? Because people want to root for you. People want to be part of your business. They want to be part of that story. And so again, having the objectives, having the goals, having the milestones is not just a nice thing to, gratitude journal about in the morning before you do your cold plunge, but it has pragmatic implications for the growth and the value of the business. And so, before you do any spectacular, wonderful, incredible things for your company, which we all have tons of them that we'd like to explore and never have enough hours in a day to do, avoid doing the bad things. Avoid dumb and good kind of finds you. And so over a long stretch of business, and I don't say this preaching from the pulpit, but we say it to ourselves and we reflect on our own business along the way just the same, avoid these 5 things and the value of the business will materially enhance, even if you have not solve the Rubik's Cube in 12 seconds as it pertains to every goal the business wants to achieve over the years. So to summarize these 5 things, 1, don't do too much that cannot be allocated or delegated or defined in a way that creates key man or woman risk for your role. 2, write things down. What can be written clearly is well understood, can be improved, and avoids the amnesia or we lost the recipe risk for a business. 3, don't have randomness. People want excitement on roller coasters. They want ambition for your business. They don't want the excitement of not knowing if you know exactly what's going to happen next. 4, understand your numbers. On a product or service basis, how much per hour is profit? How much per product is profit? Understand that at a COGS and a gross profit level. Understand it from a business level as well. How much business must we do every year to be profitable if you're more of a fixed cost basis? And how much of every dollar that comes in turns into net profit if it's more variable? Know those numbers, be able to spit them out. And 5, have a roadmap. Whether you're going to own the business for another 100 years or 100 days, know what the 1-year, 5-year, 10-year, 100-year goals would be and what milestones would lead up to each of them. And that's it. Less bad doing equals more good results. Less pitfalls fallen in equals faster pace to the goals. Again, some things are simply stated, harder to implement, as with many things in business, but this is what we've seen from our experience in hundreds of deals over decades of this business. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Keep pushing forward. God bless. We'll see everyone next time.